disordered eating. At the end of the presentation, you should be able to identify the causes of disordered eating, recognize the types of eating disorders. They are different. So you should also know the difference between eating disorder and disordered eating. You should be able to identify the symptoms of disordered eating, recognize the consequences of disordered eating, and understand how to prevent disordered eating. Then finally, you should be able to explain how to manage it. Just a few tips on how to manage disordered eating. So anytime you hear the word disordered eating, it refers to a range of irregular eating behaviors that may or may not warrant a diagnosis of a specific eating disorder. Most of you must have heard something about eating disorder in the past, but disordered eating may sound a bit strange. So this disordered eating is a group of symptoms or irregular eating behaviors that people have that you can put in between normal eating and eating disorder. In other words, it's not yet eating disorder, but it's not normal eating. So that means that there will be symptoms and behaviors of eating disorders. For people that have disordered eating, they have symptoms, they have behaviors of people that have eating disorders, but at a lesser frequency, at a lower level of severity. For example, we know that those who have anorexia nervosa, they don't like eating, they avoid food. So those who have disordered eating too, they avoid food, but maybe not at the same degree. Some people who have bulimia nervosa, they will eat a lot of food and then they will start vomiting it. They will do something to purge themselves or vomit or do excessive exercise just to get rid of the food they have eaten. That kind of symptom will be present in disordered eating, but not at that level of severity. So disordered eating may include restrictive eating, compulsive eating, irregular or inflexible eating patterns. So it's a spectrum from one extreme of restrictive eating. So people will not eat carbohydrates at all. Some will not take fat at all. Some will run away from one group of, maybe some people may not even eat animal food at all. So they restrict themselves to certain food groups and debark themselves from some food groups. Or it can be at the other extreme of compulsive eating, in which case somebody just must eat, they keep eating and eating and eating. That's compulsive eating. So it might be at that other extreme. So it's like a spectrum. Eating disorders are diagnosed according to specific and narrow criteria. So for you to say somebody has anorexia nervosa, for example, which is an example of eating disorder, there are certain parameters that that person must meet. And these are specific and narrow criteria because eating disorders are more or less like psychiatric problems. They're more or less like psychological psychiatric problems. They are not just ordinary nutrition problems. So it's a diagnosis that has to be made by a doctor. And those criteria, they are beyond the scope of this talk. So what I just need you to know is that when some people have symptoms that are similar to those who have eating disorders, and they do not meet these stringent, specific, narrow criteria, such people can then be classified as having disordered eating. Because those stringent criteria will exclude a majority of people that are suffering from eating issues. I think that's a simple language to use for you as students. So we'll classify them as disordered eating. What are the causes of disordered eating? Why would someone develop disordered eating? For most people that develop disordered eating, they start with dieting. So dieting is one of the strongest predictors for the development of an eating disorder. So if you are dieting, you're always following this diet, that diet. Some will say, oh, don't eat cooked food at all throughout the day. Just be drinking one smoothie or one drink or a shake or one protein drink. Those kind of fad diets that cannot be sustained. When you practice such again and again, over time, you can develop disordered eating. So weight loss and fat diets generally do not take people's individual requirements into consideration. So if you are weighing 70 kilograms and you need a certain amount of calories to just maintain it, and that weight is even not good for your height, but something just tells you that you have to look as slim as one celebrity you see on TV, and then someone prescribes one shake for you and you're just drinking and drinking, you might end up taking much, much less calories than your body requires. And that will lead to disordered eating. Because when you eat less than your body requires, after a while, the body will revolt. It will just go against it and it will start looking for the kind of foods you are avoiding. So you end up eating junks. Because if you're avoiding carbohydrates generally, your body will crave for carbohydrates. And instead of you to have had a proper meal of good carbohydrates with a lot of fiber, you just reach out for whatever is available, which is likely to be snacks, pastry snacks, that is full of refined carbohydrates. So the dieting is like a cycle. You are trying to avoid food. You are trying to avoid certain kinds of food. But because your body is malnourished, is deprived, the body will now crave for those kind of foods. And unfortunately, you get them in a bad way, in a poor nutritional form that will not supply the nutrients needed, but you just end up getting excess energy. So this is how eating disorders develop. And let me quickly talk about types of eating disorders. What are the types of eating disorders? Anorexia nervosa, I'm sure you've heard of bulimia nervosa, and then binge eating. Those are very common eating disorders. And each type has its own characteristics and symptoms. So for bulimia nervosa, what is the characteristic? The major thing is uncontrollable binge eating. That person just keeps eating, eats a little here, eats a little there, keep tasting everything here and there. And then after a while, the person feels guilty. She knows that it's not good to be eating everything you set your eyes on. So after a while, she feels guilty. And that binge eating is followed by purging. Person can take some tablets, all kinds of things to just purge, because she believes that she can remove the excess food that she has eaten. Some of them do intense exercise for a long duration, trying to burn the calories that they have eaten, or engage in other actions to counterbalance the excessive eating. But there's another type of eating disorder that just involves binge eating without purging. So this group of people have excessive food, they consume excessive food, but they are not even bothered about purging, about sex exercise. They're not bothered about vomiting. They just keep eating. So you can be sure that that type of eating disorder will be accompanied with obesity. Then another one is anorexia nervosa. It's almost the opposite of binge eating or bulimia nervosa. Someone with anorexia nervosa hardly eats at all. Such people, they just try to avoid food. In fact, if they have to get engaged in a social event that may involve food, they can intentionally avoid that social event just to avoid food. Their goal might be a slender figure, but eventually this attitude or this behavior leads to malnourishment, dangerously low weight, and damage to the organs. So the internal organs are getting damaged and the person is happy that she's slim. Another type is rumination disorder. In this case, food is regurgitated back into the mouth. The person many times intentionally tries to vomit the food without pain, and sometimes the person does not even intend to vomit, but the food just gets regurgitated back into the mouth. Another type is avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. So this set of people have lack of interest in eating for a variety of reasons, not necessarily weight control. So they avoid food, they restrict themselves from eating. Eating disorder not otherwise specified. There's another type that is called eating disorder not otherwise specified. In other words, when you look at the different symptoms and signs, they don't fit, these people, they don't fit into anorexia nervosa, they don't fit into bulimia nervosa, and they don't fit into binge eating. So since they don't fit into anyone, you just call them eating disorder non-specified. However, similar to anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, eating disorder non-specified, all these that I've mentioned, all these types that I've mentioned, they all have specific criteria for diagnosing them. So even this eating disorder not otherwise specified also has its own criteria, similar to the first 5 that I mentioned. So I haven't given you different explanations about the two. You can say that the major difference between eating disorder and disordered eating is whether or not a person's symptoms and experiences align with the criteria defined by the American Psychiatry Association. So because the American Psychiatry Association has put up certain criteria that are used to define or describe each of those specific eating disorders. So if somebody's symptoms does not align with those criteria that have been defined by American Psychiatry Association, then the term disordered eating will be given to such a situation or to such a person that has that the combination of such symptoms. Though it's not a diagnosis, such people deserve attention and treatment because they may cause more problematic eating disorders and put the individuals at risk of serious health challenges later. What are the symptoms of disordered eating? So how would you know that somebody has disordered eating? That's symptoms. What would the person complain of? Anxiety about being overweight or obese. This is a major symptom of disordered eating. So many people that eventually develop disordered eating have anxiety about being overweight. They are afraid that they may be obese. They undergo frequent dieting. Anxiety associated with specific foods. Some, they don't want to hear the word carbohydrate. They just avoid carbohydrates in all forms. Then another thing is meal skipping. When you see people who skip meals, it's either they don't eat breakfast or they don't eat lunch, or some of them even skip dinner. That's a symptom of disordered eating. In other words, it's not regular, it's haphazard. Then using diet pills. Some use diet pills. Chronic weight fluctuation. Some people lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. That's also a symptom of disordered eating. Rigid rituals and routines surrounding food and exercise. And avoiding a type of food or food group. That's also another symptom of disordered eating. Preoccupation with food, weight, body image. People that are really concerned about their body image, or when people eat uncontrollably, just keep eating small, small foods here and there. Feeling of loss of control around food, including compulsive eating habits. Feeling of guilt. Some people will eat different kind of things, anything that comes their way, they will taste it. Then after eating everything, they will start feeling guilty. Self-induced vomiting. Then how you will notice is that they will be using exercise, food restriction, fasting, or purging to make up for bad food. When cake is passing by, they will eat, meat pie, everything they will eat. And then they will not get engaged in those activities to purge. That's the symptom of disordered eating. Some of them also use laxative, diuretics, enema, steroid, creatine. They use all kinds of pills and drugs, methamphetamine, take different pills, different drugs, just to purge or to remove a fat, or to remove what they believe they are removing, part of the things they have eaten. Then they may have low self-esteem and negative body image. So when you see people who are concerned about their body image and have low self-esteem, that may be a symptom or a sign of disordered eating. So why are we concerned about disordered eating? What are the consequences? Why is it important? The most common risk factor for the development of an eating disorder is disordered eating. And that's why we're concerned about it. People that have disordered eating, like I said, they are likely to start with dieting. They avoid food, they restrict food. And when you do this, your metabolism slows down. When your body knows that you are not eating enough, then it slows down to be able to conserve energy. The appetite will increase, and the craving for the restricted food will increase. There will be feeling of deprivation. All of these are consequences of people being engaged in dieting. Feeling of deprivation, you become irritable, fatigue. There will be poor sleep quality because you are not eating well, your body is stressed. So, when the body is stressed, your body would behave as if just a few hours of sleep is okay. You will wake up, the quality of your sleep will not be good, it will be poor. And the next thing that will happen after all this, being irritable, fatigue, poor sleep quality, overeating will follow. Because when you don't sleep well, your body secretes more ghrelin, that's hunger hormone, compared to leptin, which is satiety hormone. So you'll be feeling hungry and then you overeat. There'll be feelings of guilt, shame, and failure, because you don't really want to be eating and struggling to lose it and getting stressed. So you feel like you are not in control of anything. There'll be guilt, there'll be shame. And this disordered eating has been linked up with less ability to cope with stressful situations, because it's stressful in itself. So it's difficult for you to combine more stressful things with it. Dieting is also associated with other health concerns such as depression and anxiety. Isolation, for fear of socializing in situations where people eat. I said that earlier on. Because people don't want to eat, they prefer not to go to events that will involve food. So they isolate themselves. And over time, that isolation can cause other psychiatric problems. It can even contribute to low self-esteem and social withdrawal. This disordered eating is a serious matter that should be addressed. Such people experience low moods, low energy, poor mental health, poor physical health, and over time, they may develop, those who avoid milk may develop more risk, higher risk of osteoporosis or osteopenia. As reduction in bone density. It can lead to bone loss. Gastrointestinal disturbances, electrolyte and fluid imbalances, low heart rate, and low blood pressure. All of those situations can occur. So what should we do? How can we prevent disordered eating? Judging from what I've said, anybody that wants to prevent disordered eating should adopt healthy attitudes and behavior about body shape and body weight. Don't have a notion that a particular diet is what will make you happy. Don't believe that, oh, if I practice Atkins diet or if I practice ketogenic diet, then I'll be slim and happy. Get rid of such notion. Get rid of the notion that a particular weight or body size will automatically lead to happiness. Many people believe that if they can just be slim, slender, then they will be happy. But the celebrity you watch on TV, some of them are even underweight, and it looks as if that's the best way to look, not necessarily. Remember what we have emphasized from week 1 of this training. You shouldn't aim at any shape or any look. What you should aim at is what is good for your height, the weight that is good for your height. So you need to know your height, know your current weight. And then when you find out your body mass index, that's the only way to discover whether it is necessary to even lose any weight, or maybe what you need is to gain weight. It's a good idea to go over this video again and revise the characteristics of those eating disorders. Look at them and make up your mind that you don't want to develop this anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa. So if you don't want to develop such, then don't go into disordered eating. Don't go into yo-yo dieting. Make the choice to challenge the false ideas that thinness and weight loss are great. No, only for those who need to lose weight. Weight loss is not great for everyone. Enter into therapy or counseling to look at the root of thoughts of being slim and why you have them. So you need to look into it so that you don't develop. If you know that you like being slim, you need to look at why. Why do you want to just lose weight? You just want to be slim, practice one diet, take one drug, diuretics, and amphetamine, and all those things. There must be a reason why you want to do it. Maybe because your friends are doing it. And if you need help, please don't hesitate to speak with me privately. Cognitive behavior therapy is also helpful to take negative thoughts, to reframe them more positively. Because many people, their problems start with thoughts, believing that it's good to look slim. They just want to be slim. And anything that is bigger than that picture, that body image that they wish to have, they believe that is wrong, and they must do everything to get there, and in the process develop disordered eating. So don't categorize some food as safe and some as dangerous. All food groups are important for you to eat a balanced diet. Some people just believe that carbohydrates is bad. No. And they believe that, oh, protein is safe, so you can eat as much as you like. No. If you eat too much protein, it can damage the kidney. If you avoid carbohydrates totally, you can damage your liver. What you need is a balanced diet to eat from all the food groups. So for you to eat a balanced diet and eat healthy, you should focus on eating whole foods and enjoy all kinds of food in moderation. So don't limit yourself to just a few food groups. Eat from all the food groups, but take them in moderation. So if you are taking from the fats and oil group, you need very little. You don't need bottled oil. Just take a little. You can get a lot of oil from seeds naturally. And stop judging others and yourself based on body weight or body shape. Your body shape is not you. The real you is your spirit inside you. So this body is just a casing, and that shouldn't determine everything about you. So instead of thinking of how you look, what this body looks like, think about what your body can do, what it can achieve. Turn off the voices in your head that tell you that a person's body weight is an indicator of her character or her personality or value as a person. So your weight is not an indicator of your value, no. Become a critical viewer of the media and its messages about self-esteem and body image. So if the media, whether social media or any type of media, when this age and time, especially social media, be critical. Some people put out pictures on social media, pictures of how they looked 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and you are now chasing those pictures. You need to be critical. Be a critical viewer of the media and its messages, especially about self-esteem and body image. Choose to value yourself based on your goals, accomplishments, talents, character, not body weight. Don't allow those thoughts that make you feel I'm too fat, I'm not good, and other people are better than me. All those things they are wrong. You shouldn't be thinking like that. Celebrate your body's unique shape and size. Embrace the natural diversity of human body. Don't believe that being slender, being slim is the best. Some people can never be slim because that's not their shape. That's not the way they are naturally made. But what they are is still good for their height, and that's fine. When you think about your body, your focus should be what can your body do, not how it looks. So I haven't said a lot about disordered eating today. If you think you fall into that category, maybe you are dieting and you are going through that cycle of diet. You avoid food, you are dieting, then your body becomes frustrated, famished, malnourished, and you reach out for refined carbohydrates, your appetite increases, you eat more, and even gain more weight than when you started. Get immediate help. You can reach out to me privately so that I can recommend some things for you. But I want to assure you that if you go to this Folu Olatona research website, Folu Olatona research, Facebook, IG, join the WhatsApp group, you get a lot of materials that can help you to overcome this idea of dieting if you have not developed disordered eating. And if you have developed disordered eating, you reach out to me, then we can refer you to appropriate medical personnel to help you out. If you think somebody else has disordered eating, please don't condemn the person. Express your concern in a forthright, caring manner. Gently but firmly encourage the person to seek trained professional help. Thank you, and God bless you.